It's 5:31, and I call this regular meeting of the Brattleboro Housing Partnerships to order. Seeing all of you here, I think it's important for us to have some ground rules on how the meeting is going to be conducted, because it's really important that everybody be heard and that there be an opportunity for some really thoughtful thinking about the issues that I know some of you are bringing. We have some business to do first, which is to review and approve the minutes of our meeting on the 17th of December. And then we'll move on to resident and citizen participation. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
What I'd like to ask is that each person speak once, give other people a chance to speak, and then if you have something that hasn't been said before, or you really, 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 really have to say it, speak again. When somebody's speaking, even though you have really an important thought, don't interrupt them, please. I know from many, many long years of leading League of Women Voters meetings, sometimes thoughts get pretty intense. So I ask everybody to help as much as you can. Do I hear a motion on the minutes from the 17th of December?
So moved.
I second it.
All those in favor of approving the minutes as circulated, please say aye.
Aye.
And for the camera, we raise hands as well. Are we taking names of people who are attending?
We are. We have a sign-up list going
Okay,
around.
great,
Yeah.
wonderful,
So people can please sign in.
because that's very helpful and
So far, everybody's signed in.
Okay,
wonderful.
thank you.
Do you want the list, or you just,
Just leave it there in case somebody else comes in and
Great.
they can sign in.
I wish I knew all of your names so I could address you individually. I will just do the best I can. Is there somebody who would like to start?
I will.
Great.
Most of us are here.
Excuse me one second, could you say your name first before
Oh.
you say so we know who we're
My name is
listening to?
Elizabeth Snyder, live here in the high rise.
Okay.
Been here, I don't know, 20 years now with housing.
Seeing somebody in back holding up something to
Put the
record.
microphone recording your conversation, is that okay?
That, absolutely. I was going to suggest that we all speak up as clearly and loudly as possible.
And most of us are here because we are against taking down our personal pictures, stuff that we like on the walls. We have nothing negative, nothing obscene on the walls. We're trying to make our own halls look homey instead of dull, dungeon-like. We're trying to beauty up our place. And when we get told that we gotta take it down, I understand that you gotta maybe paint it. Rumor has it you're gonna have your own pictures up here. We want our pictures up here to make it our home. So a lot of us feel this way, but they do have, if they wanna say something, they can.
Absolutely. And I see some hands right next to you.
Yes, my name is Cindy Camaro. I've been here, I believe 13 years next month, and nobody complained about not having pictures on the wall. Now, if we have to take them down, is this an apartment, or is it gonna be like a nursing home? You know? I don't wanna live in a nursing home, I wanna live in an apartment building. You know, I mean, I rented an apartment, I didn't rent a nursing home.
Gentleman in back?
Yeah, Francis Dawes. We're Vermont. We're a very liberal state. Even though if you get arrested and thrown into prison, they put you in prison with a bunch of Vermonters. They don't put you in the mainstream public. I think we outstand ourselves as a higher breed of intelligent people that are very liberal. I think that putting up our pictures does make this place feel like a community, a home, not just a residential block. Other states, maybe they're running rat holes, I don't know. People cluttering the halls with garbage and trash. It doesn't happen here. We're liberal people. This is a liberal state. I don't think that law should apply to us indirectly. I think they should go back or change it, because this is Vermont. We are liberal. My point.
Thank you.
I'm Pat Green, my husband and I have been here 13 years. And there have been rules in the hallway, which I understand, removing mats, objects on the floor because of tripping hazards. But as far as having our pictures, it's outside our door, on the wall outside the door. Nothing obscene. I try not to, even religious, I try not to do it. I don't want to offend anybody. And it seems after 36 years, all of a sudden, no, we can't have them on the wall. And I just want to know the specific reason as to why. If they paint the hall, we can take them down and put them back up. So I really want to know what is the reason. Now, if we don't have them off the wall tomorrow, they say they're going to come and maintenance will destroy them. So
And I think that's all.
I like to know why this specific ruling. I can understand no smoking, I can understand no candles, but why can't we have 3 or 4 little pictures on the wall outside our door?
My name's Lorraine Rosarino. When I first moved in here, there was nothing on the walls. Only on the other side where Liz lived, because she had them. And my grandson came over one night with his mother. And I asked him, I said, would you take my trash down? And he said, yeah. And I told him, you go past the elevator around the corner. And there's a door at the end of the hall. You go through that. And then there's another door. You go through that. And then you put your trash down. He said, okay. And he comes back with the trash. And I said, what's the matter? He says, I'm not going down there. He says, it looks like a sale asylum. And it took me a long time for me to get him to take my trash down. Because it was just, to him it looked like an asylum asylum, because nothing there, nothing on the windows, nothing, no plants on the windows, nothing on the walls. And to him it was scary.
Somebody who hasn't spoken before. I'll get back to you, okay?
Hi, my name's Glenn Rose. I've been here a little over 5 years, and the picture hanging, I know it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's nice to walk down a hall and to see something nice, you know? It's not obscene, it's not bad. It has plants. People got plants on the windowsill. It looks great. It makes you feel home. And you know, it's even like Christmas decorations. I put Christmas, Halloween, I do, outside, and make it feel like a holiday. But now that's being taken away from us. And as I say, just like you're walking down a plain walk, it's like I should put, I feel like it's like a jail cell you're going.
I agree. I agree.
1984.
Somebody who's not spoken before?
Hi, my name's Pat Willett. I've been here coming on 6 years, I think. I have to say that I have never lived in a big multi-unit apartment complex or anything where they allowed that kind of stuff to be put on the walls, because they were always concerned about conflict between tenants. But I've been here 5-6 years and I haven't heard of any problems with this. I understand there's a question of compliance with regulations, and I am curious to know if that is the only reason for suddenly enforcing this rule, and what the consequences are if we continue on the way we have been. It just seems like unless there's consequences and unless there's a problem, or whether we're looking to prevent possible future problems, you know, that it seems a little unnecessary. And it does, you know, promote a more cheerful appearance, and also it gives tenants the feeling that they're vested in the appearance of the building. It's important.
Hi, I'm Susan Hitchcock. In the flyer they sent out about this, they claimed that if we didn't have them down by January 15th that they were gonna have the maintenance men come and just take it down and throw it out. Now, I don't think they can do that with our personal stuff. That's not the way to handle that. To just come and take everything off the wall that belongs to me or to her, and dispose of it. That's not right. That's not the way to do it. Not right. And I feel like everybody else, you know, it makes us feel more like home.
Yeah, instead of a nursing home.
Yeah, we don't put up obnoxious stuff.
Now, I know this gentleman has spoken before. Is there somebody else who would like to speak? Oh, okay, sorry.
I would.
Apologies. Yes.
I would. I don't want to belabor the point, but I
May
do
I
want
have your
to.
name?
Nancy. I'm Nancy Waterman, and I've
Thank
lived
you,
here for
Nancy.
almost 3 years. And but I just wanted to say that I have absolutely no creativity whatsoever, but other people do, and that's something that I think is very admirable, and I like enjoying other people's abilities and creativity, and that's important to me. Thank you.
Are you or?
Well, I can give some answers.
Because I'm hearing that this feels like a sudden change, which I had doubted.
Yeah, it's actually been in your lease. It's been in the lease for 25 years. And it was in the handbook that went out in January, and because there was so many other things going on, we decided that we would hold off on implementing this particular part of it. So the rule is that you can decorate your door, so it's the hall that you can put stuff on your door. It is the hallway, and there's a few reasons, more than a few, but one is that somebody mentioned that most apartment buildings don't do this, and they don't for good reason. Often things will go up that are not in compliance with fair housing, and the person that gets sued is us, not the tenant. And we can't continuously be policing hallways. And it can really be, I've had long discussions with residents about how proper they think whatever they put up is, and it's against the law.
I wondered if you could just give an example of what might be improper by fair housing.
We had somebody once who put up a picture. It was fairly graphic, and it was, I would say it really was singling out a certain class of individual. And they thought it was fine, and I thought we were gonna get sued. You can't do that. And they were like, it's art. And I said, it's not art in the fair housing world.
Would that
So-
apply whether it was on their door or in the hallway?
It would. But what we did, we said the doors as a compromise. To say, okay, not the hallways, and the windowsills, I get it that the plants are nice. I can't tell you how many fights we have had over those plants, and how much of our staff time has been spent having to intervene over plants on a windowsill. Frankly, we've got so many other things we have to be doing, and we're spending it refereeing. There are a significant number of inter-tenant disputes over what's on the wall, over the plants, over who opened the window. Do you know that they opened the window and it froze my plants? Or they opened the window and the breeze came through and they broke my plants. My plants fell off. Are you gonna pay for it? I mean, all this kind of stuff. It really does happen, and it takes a lot of our time and energy, and it does cause ill will between people when they're having these kinds of disagreements.
Yeah, well, there's one lady that lives on the 6th floor, floor that I live on. She's always opening up a window, and I have to go by and close it.
Right.
And she keeps opening it, and you know who I'm talking about.
I probably don't, but so we have that very same problem.
You know, but
with-
that's the only one that I hear from housing.
Well, that's the same thing that we have with anything put on the windowsills. People do complain about it. They feel like it's not fair. If that person can put something up and take up the whole windowsill, and I can't take up the whole windowsill, so it's just, you'd be surprised how much of that goes on. Yes?
Usually I ask my neighbors if, you know, if it's sufficient for me to put something up. I ask Lorraine, I ask my neighbor, you know, I mean, I don't just throw it up there like, that's my wall. I ask them and they say it's fine, it looks great, you know? So it's talk between neighbors as well.
Right. Let me answer it this way. All of the common hallways and rooms in this building are common for everyone. So if somebody walks by your stuff and they think it's offensive and they live on the 1st floor and you're on the 6th floor, it doesn't matter. It's a common hallway. And that's the problem. All the common space you do not own. You do not lease the common areas. You lease from your doorknob in. And I'm sorry you think that they'll look like jail cells. I don't think they will. I've been in a jail cell. Not because I did. But I don't think the apartments look like jail cells.
No, not
But,
inside.
and that's the reason that we said, all right, have the door. We'll let you lease from the door in. That's very typical. The other thing about the hallways is we really want to paint them. They are filled with holes. So you're in your apartment and you move out and you take your stuff down from there and it doesn't get patched, it doesn't get painted because the next thing we know somebody's moved in and they put all different. The hallways are riddled with holes and we really do want to get everything down, patch them and paint them and then not have another series of holes in them.
I want to make some space for a commissioner who would like to speak.
Someone brought up rules, and the thing about the rules aren't just for this property. All the rules have to be consistent across all of the properties. So it's not just you who can't put things in the hallway. It's all of the different properties. They can use their front door, and that's about it. I mean, they have common space, they have different things, and they can't put things up there. It's only for, so all the rules aren't just for here, and all the problems aren't just for here, they're for in all the different properties. So that's why the rule has to be enforced.
I'm just curious, you talked about tenant conflicts in the Fair Housing Act. Would Brattleboro Housing be vulnerable also to being sued under the Fair Housing Act if a visitor came in and saw something in a public area that was offensive?
Yes.
So it isn't just
you all
about.
want to see the best example of something that is extremely offensive? This.
That's not defense.
That's
Yes,
not
some people it is.
offensive.
It's not you.
We could be sued for this. The Burlington Housing Authority was sued twice and they lost both times for this. I happen to know Stella Bober very, very well and I love her. I just loved her. And this, we're probably gonna have to move somewhere else because it is offensive. And if somebody else, any guest comes in here and they see this, bam, we're in trouble.
So
Wow.
it isn't just about getting along with your neighbors.
That too.
It's
That too.
vulnerability
This
that
too.
we
Wow.
can't.
I want to
So-
make sure that your comment really got heard. It's not just about getting along with your neighbors, it's the vulnerability. Now, I didn't get the end of
The
it.
vulnerability of any person who happens to come in for any reason, whether it is a visitor, or whether it is a service person, or whether it is the person delivering pizza, or whatever, that we would be vulnerable and
Yes, because
I'm just
again,
trying to remind people one at a time, because it was hard to hear when other people were talking.
we go back to the common areas. This is a federally constructed building. It is federally owned, and it owns the common areas. And it is against the federal rules to have these kinds of things up.
The
So
flag
that's-
too?
And that's where that comes from, so you're right. This isn't because we want to be mean and we want to do all this stuff. This is because we really need to be in compliance with the laws. And the laws are getting enforced more and more stringently, especially for housing authorities, unfortunately.
Chris, can I just add something? Just to add something, if everybody probably remembers back when they used to have the crutch during the Christmas time on the, where the courthouse is now, it used to be on town land or something, and it had to be moved because people complained. That is what you run into. And then it had to sit in front of churches.
Gentlemen.
Would they ever consider something besides eggshell white, maybe some decorative wallpaper? Make the halls look more, not so hospitalized.
I'm
Right.
sorry, Francis, but the answer is probably no.
Okay, I just throw it out.
But I have a good reason, and that is we own 280 units, we own 50 buildings, we own hundreds of square feet of common area, and if we get into designer painting, we're going to have a lot of problems and a lot more expense.
All right,
So I hear you.
let's do it out there.
I hear you, and I'll get right to you. If you've been to Red Clover, in the apartments, we were able to put in accent walls. But that was, a whole different thing. Yes?
So in other words, can we at least keep our plants on our windowsill in the hallway?
I would say no, because they do
We got
cause,
so many plants down in our pond, we don't got the room.
well, they cause problems and they really get in the way of trying to maintain the cleanliness of the hallways.
How about an artificial plant?
I would say no, because, look, somebody's got to go down every single hall here and wipe off every single surface. And it's like dealing with the bicycles and the tricycles at Moore Court and Ledgewood. I mean, people are like, hey, but our kids have these things. And we're like, yeah, we know, but we got to move them every time we have to clean the sidewalks or mow the lawn, and it just gets to be very time consuming and a problem for sometimes. I mean, so we'd like to keep it to the door.
Here's another one.
I'm going to get a little funny here. So, does it mean those pictures have got to go if this is a common area?
I'm sorry, which pictures?
Everything's a common area, so
Yeah.
does that mean if this is a common area that those pictures have got to go and can't have the curtains in the window? I'm not being smart, I'm just asking a simple question.
You are being smart.
No.
The answer is that the drapes don't have to go.
Okay.
I can't really see the pictures that well, but if they're just winter scenes, then, they'd be all right. I think there's a couple of things, more positive, I hope. One is we really do want to clean the place up. We've got money in the budget to put new carpeting down in all the hallways. We really want to paint. We want to freshen up the building. We want to just give it a little boost. And what was the other thing? We do want to, somebody said that they didn't like the idea of us putting up artwork, but we have found in Red Clover that the artwork that has been put up is extremely helpful, and it's really nice and people like it. So what we've talked about, and Lorelei will scream if I get ahead of myself or out of hand here, but what we've talked about is having floors decide what kind of theme they would like, and then working on trying to get some artwork that people do like. And in particular, have it across from the elevator, because that's very important for people. It helps with what's called wayfinding, or knowing, oh yeah, I'm on my floor. You know, there's that picture. So that's something that I know Lorelei wants to do with all of you as part of this, is to, by floor, work on what are the themes that you like. And, you know, what do you like, photographs or, you know, whatever.
I also heard someone say, well, I'm not very creative, but I appreciate the creativity of my neighbors. Wondering, and I'm as the chair, but wondering out loud, if it wouldn't be possible to really look at creativity around decorating the door, which we are encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
So that instead of saying you can't have anything, it's got to look industrial, looking at putting that creativity into your door and helping your neighbors appreciate your own creativity.
Yes, ma'am.
You said something about painting the walls and stuff and carpets, but I was wondering, is there a way you could bring it down so that the tenant can afford to paint their apartment? We've been
No.
here 10 years, and I would love to paint that apartment.
Right.
But the way it was explained to me, I don't have $2,000.
Well, we did, a long time ago, we would buy the paint and let tenants paint their apartments. And for a variety of reasons, it didn't work. It just didn't work. You know, some people were better painters than others. We had some floors that were pretty ruined. And again, going back to what Janet said, remember, we have to think of these rules in terms of all of our properties and all of our apartments and all of our residents. So that's where the paint your apartment thing sort of fell apart.
So they won't get painted until the person moves out.
Yeah, probably.
That's too bad.
Does this include the baskets in front of
Yeah.
the apartments where I pass out papers and put it in their baskets?
Yeah, no, it does not. We were asked about that, and the baskets, I think, are
Will
fine.
stay.
Yeah.
Just done my back there.
About the baskets, I have mine hanging on the wall.
We'd like it to be on your door, probably would be better.
On the door or on the rail? Because mine's on the rail.
Well, I'll tell you, the problem with the rail is that people that need to use the rail are impeded by a basket. And that's a handicap issue.
Well, all of them are on the rail.
Well, we can look at that and see, but they probably should be put on the doors. If HUD came in and did an inspection, we would get cited as for those as violating the ADA, because they're impeding a person who needs that rail to walk all the way down. They bang into that basket and they can't use the rail, and we're not supposed to put anything on the rail.
So the people have them on the rails, just gotta put them on the doors.
Well, I think the answer is we understand about the baskets, and I think Lorelei and, is Todd the maintenance guy here still?
Yes.
So Lorelei and Todd can sort of noodle around with a solution for the baskets that, you know, fit your needs, but also keeps the rails clear. The other thing I want to say before I forget about the hallways is that, you know, the hallways here are very narrow. And all of you that are in scooters or wheelchairs or using walkers, you know these are narrow hallways. And these are hallways that now you would never be allowed to have a narrow hallway like this in this building. It should be twice as wide as it is. So one of the things that happens is that when a lot of stuff gets on shelves, it gets on the walls, it makes the hallway even more narrow. And that's another real problem when we have a building with a high number of people that use scooters and wheelchairs and things like that. Your ability to have clear way to get to the fire-safe stairways is really important.
Now, how about at Christmas time or Thanksgiving? We can't decorate the hallway, we can't decorate our windows?
You can, if you discuss it with Courtney, Thanksgiving is probably okay. Christmas, we get in trouble on Christmas.
Why? I mean, we can't have
Because it's a violation of fair housing, and one person's religion is not everybody's religion. And again, it's a federal building. And the federal rule is you cannot have a policy that is in some way appears to be discriminatory.
I have a question. What about us having our Christmas tree here in the community room? And putting up Christmas ornaments or things around in the community room?
You can't do it.
We can't put up a Christmas tree anymore?
No,
We cannot decorate Christmas?
Nope.
No Valentine?
Valentine's is fine, it's not a religion.
Not really, no more Christmas.
That's why Thanksgiving.
How about Easter?
Religious.
Religious.
Wow.
Watch out, the rabbits might run around.
Jesus, so we can't, so we might as well give up all the stuff we got in there for Christmas? Everything? I mean, a lot of us like this.
I don't disagree with you. I'm telling you what the law is. And the fact is, the law says you cannot appear to favor one religion over another religion in federal buildings, in federal common areas. And that's where we say, just no, let's not even go there.
What if we have multi-religions in here that decorate their religion and my religion and other people's religions? Couldn't we do it that way?
Well, you could, but it ends up being pretty problematic. It ends up being pretty tough.
Between Thanksgiving and the end of the year, there are 32 different festivals in all different religions. So to do something like that in here would be very difficult.
What if we got a petition saying that nobody's against the Christmas tree?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Liz,
matter.
this is a federal law. You live in a federal building. This isn't Chris Hart telling you this. This is the housing partnership must comply with the federal law.
It is wrong.
Well, it's the federal law. And if I can name a few religions that would say it's not wrong, that it in fact is right, that one religion should not have a preference in a public area over another.
The one religion is Jehovah's Witness, they don't care.
I saw a hand from somebody at the end of the table who has.
What about our balconies? Are we still allowed to decorate it for Christmas?
Whatever the rule was that Courtney allowed you to do last year,
This year?
well, this year, well, last year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Right.
2018.
We're on the same page.
Right.
That would be the same.
So we can still decorate our balconies?
Yes, yep. You know why? Because technically, the balcony is part of your rented area. So we can sort of work around that.
And that's only like for a couple of weeks anyways, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The wall hangings and decorations like that, that involves our own community rooms too, like on the floors. Like, I live on the 7th floor, so I can't decorate my community room.
It really should.
Because we all have keys,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for that floor.
It should, and I think that's one where Courtney and I and Christine and Lorelei, we'll talk about those rooms. there's some issues already with one of those rooms, but we'll see. Because those are locked, and they are
Right.
really just for the people on that floor.
Mhm.
So, you know, if we can find a way that we feel comfortable with, then that's an area that we'll certainly talk about.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for bringing it up.
You're welcome.
I'm curious if you have figures on a couple of those cases you mentioned in Burlington as to exactly how much they had to settle for, just to bring some perspective to everybody about why you don't want to be vulnerable to this and what it would cost us for, you know, providing housing to people who need it. That possibly some actual figures might be helpful.
Well, thank you, but I actually don't remember what the figures were.
Just a thought.
But I can tell you that I served on the Vermont Human Rights Commission for 9 years, and the Burlington case came up to us for the second time when I was on the commission. And they lost. And what they had done, I actually thought of doing, and then when they got sued again, I said, well, that's not gonna work. But they had something like that, and they had put a, almost like a theater curtain over it. And they only opened it for like 5 days before Christmas or Easter and 5 days after. And that was the only time. And they got sued and they lost. And they had to take it all down.
Wow.
So the amount, I can't tell you, but I can tell you that you would not be sued. We would be
I
sued.
understand that, but
And-
as far as providing, I mean, you know, we're here because we need to be here, and we want to see anybody else who needs housing to have it. You know, we've been there on the edge, and we don't want anybody out on the street without any reason. And, you know, these funds are supposed to be used to provide housing, not to pay off lawsuits if we can help it.
They're very expensive.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but I think the Human Rights Commission works the same way. They do a very, very detailed investigation. You have to produce reams and reams of documentation. You do have a lawyer who spends many days, not hours, days on this, and it's probably,
Expensive.
yeah, $20,000 to $30,000 by the time you're done.
Wow.
And that's just to get you to the hearing.
Wow.
And they're really stressful, and plus, the whole time that, you know, Courtney and I are getting ready for the lawsuit, that's all we're doing, is getting ready to go to court and be sued. So,
Well, you guys been to court already?
we have been, I've been sued, sure.
You in Brattleboro?
Yeah, I was sued in
No.
federal court.
Not from
I've
this
been-
complex.
Yes, I was. I've been sued plenty of times.
How long ago was this?
We have a gentleman at that.
So what it comes down to is keep your religious beliefs to yourself in your own apartment. And I understand that Thomas Jefferson even swore in under the Koran. And we got a new congressperson that swore in under the Koran. That religion is just a part of the thing of the American institution of free immigration to the land of the free. It's, you are what you are, you believe what you believe. And you've got a right to believe what you want to believe in America. But the thing is, you cannot express it to anybody else. Keep it to yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's about it. Don't express it in the federal common areas.
There you go.
That's the distinction.
That's stupid.
I'm sorry.
Okay, look, I'm thinking about when you're talking about the halls and the plants. If you've ever seen rescue come in here, you realize you've got a rescue personnel on each side of the gurney, and the gurney being wheeled out, and it is narrow. And if the fire department comes over as first responders with all their equipment, I can understand maybe why it would be easier to knock off the plants, because these, when they wheel you out, you've got one on each side. And the patient in the middle and equipment on top of the gurney, so maybe I can see the plant part, because if it's so narrow, you can knock them right off.
They
And they're
are
in a
very
hurry.
narrow.
They're in a hurry,
You
yeah.
really, again, you cannot build a building now, especially for the elderly and people with disabilities, and have quarters that are this narrow. I mean, they're really, it's tough.
Those pictures and the trees we got in there, so what do we do with them?
Actually, Lorelei is gonna work with the residents around this picture and that, and just see, you know, what we might be able to do with them that would reach a good sort of compromise between what we must do and our, frankly, our liability exposure by having them out.
Can we have a tag sale or Chinese auction for people to buy tickets and wanting these items?
I'm not sure about that, Liz. I would say that that's getting into details that I'm gonna leave up to Lorelei and Courtney to work with you on.
Okay.
All right. But you can sell your own stuff. You can't sell any of our stuff.
Yeah, but that's not your stuff. That's not your
I'm
stuff.
saying that.
And the
No,
Christmas tree.
this belongs to the tenants as far as I'm concerned.
And then there's a Christ there, and then there's a Christmas tree.
And I don't know who brought it in.
We bought the Christmas tree for the
Yeah,
community.
but that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to ask if what your hand is up for is something different from what we've already talked about.
No? Well, no.
Mine is basically,
Okay.
Chris,
Well,
she
this
said,
gentleman in back says he has a different.
are we allowed to have like a Christmas party there, or do we have to reserve it, or, I mean, that's religious, so I don't,
We always had a Christmas.
we always have our little.
They have to be a
get-together.
holiday party.
Yeah.
Yeah. A holiday party.
If you go into any business these days, they never have a Christmas party, they have a holiday.
That's fun. That's good. That works. All right. Our religion's both.
now
Your
you were
question.
saying this building is for disabled and handicapped people
And the elderly.
and the elderly. Okay, I'm not that old, I still work. There's a lot of young people out here. I don't see them disabled, and why are you guys into those kind of people?
How do you know they're not disabled?
Well, you look at them, they don't look like
No,
disabled to me.
seriously, you can't tell. You cannot tell a person's disability just by looking at them.
I don't say nothing, I just look.
Well, I'm saying that you cannot tell a person's disability by just looking.
Right. If I didn't walk in here with this walker before I had the walker, you'd never know that I was disabled. It's there's invisible disabilities, and you cannot tell what somebody has.
I think, all right. this
Another
gentleman-
thing you need in here is some new elevators.
Oh,
These elevators out here are terrible.
you know, we just completely refurbished them for, what was it, $400,000 not too long ago.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, we're stuck with the size of the car that we have. And
Works great.
for those that have been here a while and remember the old elevators,
yeah.
they used to really clang badly between like floor 3 and 4.
I remember when my parents used to
And,
live here.
and everybody thought they were gonna collapse and they were gonna, and what we found out is that the piston was crooked. So we actually had to go in, remove everything and re-drill that piston. It was a nightmare. And some of you lived through the nightmare of refurbishing them. But one of the things that I suspect from looking at Red Clover's elevators is that the cars are just, they're small. They're smaller than they should be now. So we've got a lot of things that we'd like to do in this building, like paint and, you know, we'd like to fix the community rooms and, you know, have you involved in that. You know, we get precious little dollars to do these things, so we really have to look at what's the highest priority for life safety first. But
Where's Red Clover?
Red Clover is next to Walgreens.
The new one?
Yeah, that's what our building.
Oh.
Yep. Yep.
Liz,
Here.
Can I,
You don't leave.
can I recommend that we take this rug out and make this all tile?
That's a good recommendation, and I know that,
Not gonna happen.
well, no, Francis, we
People
had,
slip and slide, that's not smart.
well, we had money in a capital budget to do community rooms, and we had to take it out because we had to do something else, like sliders. And I think it's going back in, and that's something that I think before we made a final decision on what this floor would be or how this room would look, we would have a conversation with folks about, what do they think?
And one more thing. Did you ever come to conclusion yet on the air conditioners?
No,
No. Okay.
no, but I will tell you that they are on our work plan for January, February, March, and we will have a decision in March
Okay.
Okay, one last
of
question.
this year.
Are we gonna be able to garden this year because of the water shortage thing? You know, they stopped us from watering our plants one year. I'd like to open up a garden out there again, near the wall.
Oh, yeah, we did. I would have to punt on that and say, I'm
Yeah,
not
so
sure.
I would really like to start up
Not
something
sure.
near the wall. That was so nice when we had our flowers.
You just want to grow your
I
pot.
think that
Yeah, I just wanna grow my weed, yeah, right.
May I comment as chair that I think this has been a really good, thoughtful discussion. A lot of people have participated, and that's been very helpful. We've now talked 45 minutes. And I think that unless there is something new or something absolutely pressing, we need to go on to the other
There was
business of
something new.
Okay.
How about we have, where we park our car, why can't we have a fence there so we can put our dogs there during the day?
Oh, no, we couldn't do that.
Why not?
Oh, it's a liability. To have a dog pen?
Yeah.
No.
Also, I think there's a town law that you can't leave dogs out for more than tied outside for more than a certain amount of time
They don't have to
during the
be
day.
tied. they
No,
can
we
sit.
would,
Well,
no, we would
meeting
not
with
do that.
church.
We would not, we just, it's I've got a dachshund. So my dachshund goes out there and somebody else's shepherd is out there and my dachshund attacks the shepherd. And the shepherd, breaks its leg and, off we go. So no, we would not do that. Plus, we had to go to the town and get a permit to do all that work in the back, so we would have to go back to the town and come in to permit, and it's just not a good idea. Sorry.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Pat.
A good discussion.
You're leaving us, huh?
So another one, we gotta go up and take our pictures off the wall.
Oh, so, thank you for bringing that up. I know that you all were waiting for this meeting, and I would say that we will not have maintenance here tomorrow to rip everything down, but I will talk to Courtney and we will put up a notice about when things should be down.
So we don't have to do it tonight?
You don't have to do it tonight, no.
Mine's all done too. Stuff back up.
I wouldn't put it back up, no, bad idea.
Why double the work?
So we'll talk about it tomorrow and get a note up when things should be down by.
And a note for the baskets to be attached to the door.
Well, that's not yet, because that's something I want Lorelei and Todd to take a look at those and see if we can come up with a good solution for that, okay? So we won't,
All right,
let's get a good solution before we just say, take them all down. I
okay.
mean, we should have them down because we shouldn't have stuff on those railings, but let's be thoughtful about it,
All right,
okay?
not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess that's it.
The next order of business is the impact of the continuing government shutdown on Brattleboro Housing Partnership residents, participants, landlords, programs, and staff.
Yes. Well, I've been sending you things as we've gotten them. government shutdown is really serious, and it doesn't affect you yet, but that doesn't mean that it won't at some time. We have enough money to pay bills through February, and that includes our Section 8 vouchers. And those are the things that are at biggest risk for our participants right now. We have enough money to probably make it through April in public housing before we would have to start really making cuts in things, but we would really have to cut back in things. HUD has a new system of allocating our operating subsidy, and we will get it through February, and that means we will get no federal money to operate any buildings if this shutdown doesn't end in March. So we will be dependent on all we have in reserves, which is not as much as we would like to have, but we had a little flood in Melrose and that wiped out our reserves. So let's hope that they can resolve this so our public housing residents won't be at risk. Section 8, we will be able to pay vouchers in February. We are not confident that we will be able to pay any landlords in March, and that's really serious. That's like $500,000.
I have a question. What if we don't get our money in March for rent, and we were told that maybe we're not even going to get our food stamps either?
Yes, right.
So would you evict us if we didn't have the money?
I don't know where that came from, but there's no way in the world that we would start evicting our residents because of this shutdown.
Okay.
You know, we're all in the same boat, and we'll all just have to figure it out. But we're not going to start evicting people because you don't get your Section 8 or your Social Security. I mean, that's just cruel. I wouldn't do that.
Good.
The one thing I read tonight, Brattleboro Savings and Loan put out a whatever, and they're saying that if people are affected by the government shutdown, that they're going to be offering no interest loans to people. So that may help us. It may help people who, you know, don't get food stamps and can't afford food. I don't know what their criteria is, but they put that out as a news thing today. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think sort of echoing, Francis is gone, but echoing what Francis said, Brattleboro is a pretty good community at rallying around and helping folks. And I think that there are lots of service agencies that at some point will get affected by this. And I think you'll see all of us coming together to figure out how we keep things going and we keep people going. Despite this whatever down in Washington. So, but no, we would not evict people over this. No, no.
And I would certainly encourage everyone to contact your senators, your one representative, Representative Welsh, as well as the elected representatives in their state. Just let them know what's happening personally to you, because that makes a difference.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. I can tell you that all the advocacy groups are all lined up together on this one, which is nice, because they usually aren't. But everybody's lined up that this is really hurting people a lot, and it's hurting the very people that we're all really, our mission is to help you all, not to be in a position where you don't have your food stamps. So all I can say is I have a lot of faith in Brattleboro and that we will figure a way out. And I really do encourage you to contact, because it's the personal stories. It's not me calling and saying, they have, you know. But your personal stories really affect people. And even though we have a wonderful federal delegation, it still doesn't hurt to let them know that you're concerned about this, that, you know, what's gonna happen, you know, we don't know. So it's now it's become serious. I mean, now, you know, we'll definitely get through February, but this going on, you know, the federal government is a pretty big entity, and what we've seen in previous shutdowns is that it really takes them a while to get back up to speed. So that's the thing that I worry about, is it's not just like they can open the doors one day and everything's fine, you know. It takes them a while to get, you can imagine all the stuff that's just sitting out there.
Well, you got Trump to thank for that.
Pardon?
You got Trump to thank for that.
Well, we don't go into religion and we don't go into politics.
And now we have to move on to our annual, the 2019 annual and 5-year plans.
Excuse me.
To officially open the public hearing.
Do you need to
Can we
switch?
pause so I can switch
Yeah, sure.
tapes? Okay.
So, just one last thing on the shutdown. If you or people you know are really getting anxious about it, please call us. You know, we're getting bulletins every day. We're trying to really stay very much on top of this. You know, I won't give you a line. I'll tell you the truth and I'll tell you what's going on and my best understanding of it. But do call us, because it's really unnerving, and I just hate that this is happening. So your friends, you know, people you know, if they're getting anxious, if they're really wondering, like, if you know somebody in Section 8, is my landlord going to start evicting me? Call us. Let us know they're worried. We can talk to landlords. We can start being proactive about taking steps for people. Okay? Yeah, I didn't mean...
So I wish to open the public hearing on the 2019 annual and 5-year plans. Now, we have seen, no, I think I can just declare it without a motion.
Do you need a copy first?
I have one, but I got everything all mixed up over there. The 5-year plan is what we got last month, correct?
Yes.
Not the one that was in, yeah, it's
You
this
got,
one.
you got the 5-year, and yeah, it's all this.
This one, yeah, it has a
Didn't
blue page in it.
Mine with me.
No, that's my page. That's my page.
The, for those that don't have this rather boring HUD form, our 5-year plan and our annual plan are mandated by HUD. The reason that we are having the hearing and we are readopting the 5-year plan is because we have included our rental assistance demonstration program. They had a lot of language that was required to have in there, and we had to put it all in there and readopt the 5-year plan. So that and the annual plan are really, they're pretty much what we adopted last year, with the exception of RAD, the rental assistance demonstration, and more targeted language around MTW.
Any comments, questions?
No, the only one I had was last month.
Yeah, no, I got that. I
Okay,
got
yeah,
that.
no, that was the only one I had.
We'll catch it.
If there are no further comments, we can close the public hearing and adopt the annual and 5-year plans as presented, or with changes. Do I hear a motion?
I motion that we adopt the plan as.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the annual and the 5-year plans as presented, certainly with the spelling change.
Spelling change, right?
Right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. No abstentions.
Great.
We're going to move on to staff reports, the property portfolio manager and property managers.
You have something to sign, so we'll just get it right there. The portfolio manager didn't have really a report. He has spent the last 4 weeks, just working on the capital fund and the replacement reserves and massive spreadsheets that we need to have done. And the yellow pages are the property reports. We do have some litigation at Ledgewood, which has caused a dip in our rent collection. And we are running into tax season, so people sometimes use their cash for other things and tell us, well, I'm going to be getting my taxes soon, and you'll get all paid.
And of course, the tax refunds are also delayed
That's right.
by the government shutdown, so that it,
They're also not answering
multiple
their
effects.
phones. I had a call today, and they're not answering their phones. They give you a message that you have to wait.
Well, just when this first started, HUD said, well, all our electronic systems are up, and then we got a notice that said, they're all gone, they're done, don't be putting anything electronically in. Okay.
To review the timeline for changes to admissions and continued occupancy.
Yes.
This is the, from Jeanette White. Okay.
And you've got the big
Yes.
packet with all the
Yes.
changes. I would say that the biggest change in all of this is that the federal government reauthorized the Violence Against Women Act, and we needed to put in a lot of changes as a result of that. So that's the biggest driver of these changes, and otherwise we just cleaned up some things.
I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
One is, it's down further, 10 days. Is it 10 working days or 10 days? I think it's on 70, one of them is on 73. Where is it? Sort today. It goes back. It was one of the changes that Jeanette wrote out here. And it said that, you know, on a lot of things, we have 10 days in order to get back to people.
Let me look that up. I think
Yeah.
we have it in the general definitions that we are always using business days.
Okay, because I was just thinking, if somebody applied it on a Friday, you have only 5 days, if it's just 10 days, to,
Yeah.
you know, during the week to get things done.
No, I think we have a general definition
Okay.
that where we say days, we mean business days.
Okay. And my second question is, in 70, it's not about the question, on 11.3, community service, there's only one page there, and
Yes.
is everyone supposed to do community service unless they are
Engaged in work
and
activities.
work in activity, and there are a few other exemptions. So is everyone supposed to be doing some community service if they live there?
No.
Okay.
It's got a lot of definitions for who it applies to.
Okay, that's what I didn't have the page before
Yeah,
that.
no,
So,
yeah. Right, yeah, there's a lot of
that was it.
exemptions to that.
But you can see it, I did read it.
Yes.
I have a lot of time these days.
But interestingly, and it might be useful to note, that community service also includes working through a resident organization to help other residents with problems. Serving as an officer in a resident organization, serving on the residential advisory board. So that it is not going out from this residence,
Right.
but helping each other in this residence is also community service.
A typo on page 12.5.
Okay.
Security deposits, the last one, deposit will be returned.
Got it. Well, it might or might not.
Read the rest.
Right, okay. Do these need to be adopted?
Let me look at I don't believe that they are for adoption today. So what we do is we have mailed them out. They will be reviewed by the board at this meeting. There is a public comment period until February 4th. And if we receive written comments, we will send them to the board. It will be put on your February agenda for adoption. And we usually like to get things like the major policies in front of you twice. So,
Which is what we did with the plan as well.
yes, yeah.
Resident wellness and services.
Oh, and Christine and Lorelei
Yes.
are both here, so you can
So please, you have the floor.
grill them.
I love your reports.
Yes.
I apologize, I think it's just been a really long day. Overall, the last report was really just a sort of recap of the year, but I did talk a little bit about our continued collaborations with different agencies in Brattleboro, some of them public agencies like the fire department. We'll be bringing the fire department into all of the housing sites this month and next month to talk about safety hazards, also identified risks that they have identified at the last inspection. At this site and also the Red Clover Commons, we will talk about evacuation plans. And we'll be hosting the fire department in February for those sites, and then having a fire drill scheduled at some point. We also met with the police chief this month through the resident advisory board, and we got a lot of questions answered around just concerns that a lot of our residents had, and so that was very, very helpful. So I think that this was really just a recap of our continued collaboration with lots of agencies. And we saw that this past year, we had set some goals around continuing collaboration, also around communication with residents, and we found that by the end of the year, the calendar year, we really saw a lot of progress in both of those areas. So we're very
Certainly the video, which
Yeah,
you all
absolutely.
showed at the annual meeting, showed a tremendous increase in both collaboration and communication.
And I
And
also,
fun.
yeah, and I also think that that was really that really came out of a discussion that we had with the resident advisory board. I believe that the resident advisory board really does offer a lot of insight into what is going on the properties, and so we take their comments very seriously. So when that was a concern, right from the beginning, that people felt that the perception of public housing was really skewed amongst the community of Brattleboro, we wanted to come up with strategies around addressing that. And we utilized that board to really come up with, well, what does this look like? And so while we did a lot of the back work, and Mary Eller helped us a lot with this, it was really, we got a lot of the foundation to go at this project deliberately based on the questions and concerns of the residents. And they picked, they helped to pick the people to be in it. They helped to not pick them, but help to encourage people from their community to be in it. And we're really thankful for that. So I find that this year has been a great year in terms of, we've had some hiccups, but we have learned a lot about how to better communicate with residents. And I think that residents have learned how to better communicate with us. So it's a work in progress, but I feel confident that it's getting better. And I'm really thankful that we have that board. It makes a big difference.
The SASH programs, any comments about SASH?
So the SASH program, we have been unfortunately without a wellness nurse for a considerable amount of time. We had our last nurse break the contract due to personal reasons. She needed to leave the area. So we were really in a tough bind because we couldn't prepare for it. So we were without a nurse for the better part of 2 months, a little bit more than 2 months. We have hired a nurse, a contracted nurse. She actually began Friday. Her name is Jenna Ross. She's an RN. She begins her first full day tomorrow. The positive news is that because we had been without a nurse for some time and we've had some lapses in the past, we were able to do an audit of our SASH time. And we were able to figure out that we have such a deficit that we could add 4 hours a week easily and still not, we actually could do almost 6 hours a week, but we were trying to be very conservative. We could add 4 hours a week. So the SASH nurse will be a SASH nurse for 24 hours versus 20 hours, which I think will be really wonderful.
I so admire this SASH newsletter that you
I will say that that is nothing to do with me. Lorelei and Shauna are both so wonderful at all of the publications that we put out. The flyer, not just for their programs, but for every program when we devise a flyer, Shauna and Lorelei really put a lot of energy and effort into making them wonderful.
That's great.
As is the website. Lorelei does a tremendous amount of work on the website, and Shauna really works on the Facebook page. So it's just, they do a great
bulletin
job.
board too.
Yeah.
Really, these are just beautiful.
They do a great job. I take no credit for that at all. And so for the FSS program, just to give you a recap, we're still waiting. HUD has not, we haven't, because HUD is shut down, we are waiting to hear if we will get approved for this year for the SASH program, for the FSS program. Sure.
And family self-sufficiency. So there's a position that is very much affected by the shutdown because we made the grant application on time. We were supposed to hear by the end of December, and the grant has no money in it as of January 1. So,
Housing Choice Voucher Program, Shelter Plus Care, and that should be blue. David's blue.
Now, we know that Section 8 will be impacted. What about Shelter Plus and transitions to housing? Will they also be impacted?
I'd have to ask David, transitions is funded by the state,
Okay.
so that should be okay. Shelter Plus Care, I'm not sure how they're handling that. The problem with vouchers is that HUD went to this great system of cash management, and that means they hold all the cash. So they took all of our cash, all of our reserves, and they're holding them. And so,
I had to laugh when I read that Nero thing, and it said we were told to use our reserves in the meantime.
who hasn't?
Yeah.
So Shelter Plus Care, I'm not sure what the funding, how that funding exactly works. It might be quarterly, and so we'd probably be okay for March.
Work session, old, new, and other business, a financial review, monthly check listing. I'm doing countersigning checks this month. Chris, you're doing February, and Pat, March. And depending on how our absent commissioners are, I'm really sad that Donna Rasmussen has been pretty ill. And Tom Murray may be, I had a new knee in November, so maybe this is what's happening for him.
And I'm supposed to have one in March, maybe.
Wow. She's the bionic
before-
board.
I know.
The budget preparation process for fiscal year 2020.
Right, the management group has started to work on the budget, and we've scheduled a budget session every week. I've worked on some reports today, so I think we're zeroing in on some information that we can then base next year on. And I'm waiting to get the end of December close, because that's that's a pretty important marker, and then we have the 3 months of winter too.
It's important to remember that our fiscal year starts in October.
No, it starts in April. April 1?
Oh, ours is in April.
Yeah,
The federal is in October 1st.
Yeah. Go figure.
Yes.
Is
So-
the state July 1st?
So that's why it's really important that we get December, and some of you may remember that we've seen December and said, wow, this is great, we've got like $400,000, and then March, by the end of March, we had less than $100,000.
Because of snow.
Yeah, so that's pretty key.
It's
And it's still cold.
It's supposed to this weekend.
Large projects in progress. Rad.
So, RAD is at a standstill
Rental
because of the
assistance to.
demonstrations program is it's affected by the shutdown, though it's been, in a way, it's good because we had these huge capital spreadsheets that we had to work on, and Jack's been able to do that. We did submit our application for the MTW. We submitted it on December 28th. The shutdown had just started. We were supposed to get a notice within 48 hours, and we haven't heard a thing. The pre-disaster mitigation, of course, FEMA is part of Homeland Security, so that's in limbo. And every time I hear that they're going to take money from some pot at FEMA, I go, no, don't take my money. 3 years we've been waiting for this.
Yes.
So we'll just wait. And we continue to work on Red Clover 2. We have, I think, very nice designs. I can't make them public yet because they're out for costing, so it might change again. But Tom Bachman, our architect, came up with a really sweet building. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to show those and move forward.
I'll ask the popular question. Are there going to be laundry machines in that building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
our work.
about it.
That's it.
This evening.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I've often said I'd like to say all those in favor of adjourning, please say goodbye. Thank you, everybody.
Yes,
Your
thank you.
thoughtful participation.
Thank you very much.